Good.
All right. Lost count.
Easter related.
Oh.
It's the purple.
That's true.
Yeah, I think it is just decorated. Nothing super about it.
If they come late, then that's okay. Go ahead.
I know, me neither.
Yeah, I think that's much
We have a dress that's the same dress, and we're always, like, I always have to think about when I put it on, and I can see Mona.
Let's go ahead and get started. If I can have everyone's attention. We'll go ahead and get started. We're expecting a couple more folks who might come in a little bit late, so we can they can come and do that. But this is really your show, but I'd love it if we could go around and oh, I'm sorry. So the reason that this is being videotaped or recorded is there are a number of Impact Council members who weren't able to make this time slot during the day, have day jobs and such, and so this gives them an opportunity to hear from you in your own words without actually being here. And most importantly, just to hear the discussion. The questions that were sent and the responses we received, those were a compilation of their questions. So they do have that and have already read the application. So does anybody have a concern about that, or is it okay? This is an internal use only. It won't be shared with anybody outside of the organization. Okay. So if we could go around and introduce ourselves, that would be great.
I'm sorry, I'm Kenneth Simons. I'm the Chief Academic Officer for the Forsyth County Schools.
Charmaine Angino from United Way.
Travis Taylor, Principal at Carver High School.
Julie Puckett, Carver High School.
Kathy Jordan, Second Directory Schools, but work in student services with Carver Staff.
Carol Montague Davis, Assistant Superintendent of Secondary.
Tori Marshall, Pastor of Grace Presbyterian Church.
Kenneth Pettigrew, Coordinator of Faith-Based Community Engagement at United Way.
Benicia Scales, Assistant Principal, Middle Springs Middle School.
Darcy Poteet, Principal of East Forsyth Middle School.
Noel Stevenson, John, United Way staff.
Crosby Scholars, Mona Lovett, because that's how my life is most days. I'm Crosby Scholars. My name
is Suchi David. I'm with AmeriCorps, and I'm also with United. Alana James, I'm with United Way.
Eric Aft, United Way.
Jewel Cherry, Forsyth Tech.
Rachel Damaris, I guess in this role, I'm United Way board member.
Wonderful. So, sorry, did you?
I did not.
Oh, okay. Everyone's getting settled, so I'm going to listen. So this is really an opportunity for, as I've mentioned, this is the second visit for some of you, so thank you again for sharing your time with us. But this is really an opportunity for you to kind of recap your proposal, talk a little bit about things that you'd like to highlight that you don't feel like you were able to in the application, and really a good time for us to have some discussion and then follow up to the additional questions that we sent to you. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Kenneth, and I'll let you start.
So happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
And on behalf of the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools and the partner organizations, we appreciate the United Way providing us this opportunity to apply for and solicit the Be Legendary grant. And today we'd like to share with you very quickly a short PowerPoint. I have the partner organizations who don't introduce themselves but tell a little bit about their organizations, and then respond to any questions that you might have in the way of the proposal that's before you. I did not make copies of the PowerPoint, but except for Dr. Cherry and Rachel Witz right behind you.
We can slide back.
I'm going to look over your shoulder.
There we go.
So Be Legendary is a partnership between Carver High School, Feeder Middle Schools, Middle Springs Middle, East Forsyth Middle, community partner Grace Presbyterian Church, the School Health Alliance, and Dr. Stephanie Dane couldn't be here today, but remains a committed partner, and the school district. I'm sorry. Miss Crosby Scholars of 9/11, and representing the school district, Carol Montague Davis and myself, and Kathy Jordan, who works in our secondary preschools office, but also does grant work for us. And what I'd like to do for a quick minute is just for them to tell a little bit about what their organization does and is, and how it relates to the partnership that we proposed. And because we seek to provide a proposal that reflects the civic community, and it's fitting that we're in this room because you can see where schools are, and you can see all of the connections, and you can see how the patterns come together. And so we'll just start with Mr. Taylor and Ms. Puckett, just for a quick little overview. And by the way, inside of your folder, you see an overview of the Carver vision and mission statement.
Good afternoon once again to everyone. We have had the pleasure to do this now 3 times this week actually, with the United Way grant proposal. And it's ironic and I guess also coincidental that the other proposals that we were a part of actually had components of the grant that we were also proposing for as well. So a point that I'm sure that Eric Gaff is going to bring up at some point in time is that we need to start taking a close look at all the programs that we have coming through Carver High School and see where there's overlap and reciprocity, and find ways to weed those out and to be as streamlined as efficient as possible. So that's one of the things that we're also looking at from Carver High School standpoint as well. We've already made a contact with Foresight Promise to look at all of our proposals and programs within our schools and to take a look at those different initiatives. But in writing the programs that we have here for Carver High School, we were looking at something that was holistic, that would take care of a gamut of different issues that we have facing Carver High School, from poverty to low academics to supporting the students while they're at Carver High School, seeing that they're successful as they go throughout, and then able to be career and college ready when they move on. So while some of the other grant proposals only look at bits and pieces of what the systemic issues are for the students in the community at Carver High School, what we're proposing will look at the entire student, the entire community, and hopefully put together some solutions that will solve many, if not all, the problems that we have facing us. Julie, you want to add anything?
Really just piggybacking off of what Mr. Taylor said, that we've looked at our students and we realized that it's not just an academic issue, but that they do need wraparound services, and it's exciting that the community is coming together because that's really what it's going to take, and bringing those services into the school. As Mr. Taylor said, and speaking with Eric, we have contacted Foresight Promise because we had already looked at that we do have some overlap and redundancy, and having them come in to give us an objective look at things and look at where we may be able to combine what's effective, what isn't, what do we need to keep, what do we need to get rid of, so that we're very, very targeted in our approach so that we're really getting those results. We know that there have been times when we've kind of, over the years, we've seen things kind of come and go, and this is where we need to move forward, where we really need a brand new image and branding of the school, and I think this is kind of where we start to bring these services in to help the kids academically. They need it socially, emotionally, physically. So really just echoing what Mr. Taylor said, and that I guess in looking at all the grants, how do we maybe umbrella all of that so that, again, almost like our programs, we're not overlapping.
And two of the primary feeder schools in Carver, we're happy that Dr. Scales, assistant principal from Middle Springs Middle, was here. Mr. Petit, who's the principal at East Forsyth Middle, if they would like to share anything about the students in the community related to their work.
For us, one of our big pushes has been our tutorial program. We initially started doing after-school tutoring, which was working fine, but we noticed we were still missing a bulk of the students because not everybody can stay after school. So we started doing our in-school tutoring, where we hired retired teachers to come in and work with our students. And we have noticed a large increase in not necessarily proficiency at the end of the year, but they are working toward that. And students feel now that they have more support, that they have more adults in the classroom that are helping. Now we can do more small groups, we can do acceleration and remediation, and then have the students that are on track working in the class. We can do all of that during the day while we have them, because a lot of times, like I said, after school doesn't work for everybody. They have different things going on. And we still like to encourage them to be involved in after school activities and things like that. We don't always want to take that away for remediation and things like that. So it's really been beneficial for us to have our in-school, in-class tutorials. And we feel it. As I said, the kids have really taken to our tutors, and they seem to be flourishing with that.
We're sorry, we just went to the wrong place. We're trying to find all of you guys.
At East Forsyth Middle, we begin with our students actually before the first day they come to East Middle. We do a summer transition program for our rising sixth graders where they have 8 days. It's 2 weeks, but we're on 4-day weeks now. So they do 8 days of coming in and transitioning where they will begin some getting familiar with the academics. They learn our school building. They actually learn how to transition in a middle school because many of them had been used to, that one teacher or moving to their special, but we actually have them run through a school day. They learn basic things such as where the cafeteria is, where you can find our media center, the offices, guidance offices, and get familiar with our staff also. Then we do an after-school tutorial program, but that program, we begin it as being targeted. We look at our students, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, how they did the previous year academically, and those students who we see that are needing extra assistance, they will receive invitations to come to tutoring. But along the way, there are other students whose parents will just call and say, my student needs a little help, so they're also included in that. We have been using our parental involvement coordinator this year. We've been doing targeted monthly parent trainings, either on-site or off-site, because we realize that if our students are going to be successful, one of the key components is going to be that we're going to be able to have to assist their parents in understanding what is needed for their kids to be successful. We also have, and we just recently started with, we've been doing some in-school tutoring, and we found a wonderful teacher, retired teacher, who comes in, and she just works with little small groups of kids, primarily right now in doing their reading. Now that's the funding that we've received, but there are other United Way agencies who also assist us, but I won't go into that unless you all want me.
So just as a point of clarification, both Mineral Springs and East Forsyth Middle are part of the current funding that United Way provides to the district, and it's been very successful. So there are a couple strategies, tutoring and family engagement in particular have been successful strategies that we appreciate. Please welcome Marshall, Grace.
Sure. I was in a meeting earlier with you all relative to a partnership with Carver High School and Winston-Salem State. On this end, we're consistent with wanting to provide a multi-generational presence and wanting to be a hub where that organically takes place. Grace has been a church in the city of Winston-Salem for 108 years, been its current location for 44 years on Carver School Road. Here specifically, we would want to be working with the elementary school who are pipelined into the middle school, into the high school, into Carver. So we're trying to provide that consistent presence all the way from elementary school to middle school to Carver High School. So we want to be a site there where there'd be a mix of seniors and young adults who would provide tutoring on site at Grace.
Right, quick question. When you say the elementary school, wherever the kids go, but who live in the civic neighborhoods?
Right.
Okay.
There's 4 feeders, right, but we'd be looking for those who live within that zip code around.
Thank you.
And one of the points we're going to get to is that there are a number of students who live in the Carver school community who are not residential to the high school or the middle schools. So one of the components of this project seeks to remedy some of that, including the community base. So the community base provides opportunity to serve students who are in the community but who may go to schools outside of the community. Our next partner is School Health Alliance, and we have a long-standing partnership with the School Health Alliance, hence our decision to partner with them. In fact, the Bulldog Health Clinic, which sits on the campus of Middle Springs Elementary Middle, provides very comprehensive health and mental health services and behavioral health services. And Dr. Stephanie couldn't be here today, but she remains committed to the partnership. And they have, in fact, this year expanded some services already into Carver. And the possibility of funding would allow for increased services by the School Health Alliance. In addition to the Bulldog Center and services at Carver, School Health Alliance also provides services in other civic neighborhoods at Winston-Salem Prep and at Ashley in particular. I was remiss in putting this PowerPoint together, but I do want to recognize Dr. Jewel Sherry, who's the Vice President at Forsyth Tech, and a project that we are still working on, but she was committed to working with us. We don't have any funding requests because I don't think we have any funding requests, but if you, Dr. Sherry, want to share your thoughts.
Thank you. We started to look at data a while ago as to where our students, or our dual enrollment students, and students that are in high school that have the opportunity to come to take college level courses really at no cost. And so we started to look at, where our students are coming from and what schools are not providing necessarily that opportunity for their students. And for the last 3 years, since 2013, we have not had any of those dual enrolled students from Carver. And so we saw a real opportunity there to provide some additional college access information and support for not just the students, but also for their parents, and making them aware of the opportunities that they have to come to take college level courses as a high school student at no additional cost. And so one of the ways that we had talked with both Kenneth and Carol about was that we place a part-time high school counsel or high school coach within the high school to provide that sort of information and support for students. In order to qualify for our college and career promise program, there's a 2.0 GPA requirement. And so we feel like working with students in 9th and 10th grade to prepare them to be academically eligible for college and career promise when they become juniors and seniors was a very, very worthwhile effort. And so we have everything in place actually to begin a program like that, where we have someone that's placed in the high school. Carver is one of about 4 high schools that we're looking at to do this sort of thing. But we see a real opportunity to educate students and parents about the opportunities to take those courses, either as college transfer courses, but also technical programs as well. I was noticing in the grant that in one of the surveys, parents had responded that they were looking for a lot of their graduates, their children, to go directly into the workforce after high school. We can certainly help prepare them to do that with our skill level programs. So.
And Forsyth Tech has a center on Carver Road, the Woodruff Center, which students could certainly partake in. Thank you. Just love it. I was going to say Miss Crosby.
Miss Crosby, that would be Catherine Crosby. But anyway, just to give you a little bit of history about Crosby Scholars. Crosby Scholars has been here for 24 years. We're a college access program. We serve students in grades 6 through 12 in Forsyth County with college access services that help them with every step of the college admissions, financial aid, college preparation process. it's exciting to be a part of this particular proposal because our roots are with Carver High School. That was our first school back in 1992-93. So our first Crosby graduates graduated from either Carver or Glenn. And those students are bringing their students back to be Crosby Scholars, which is really exciting. We are a full-blown college access program, and our focus is to work with students across the spectrum to help them prepare for post-secondary educational opportunities, whether that's at the 1-year, 2-year, or 4-year level. One of our biggest concerns is that our numbers have decreased at Carver, and we've been working closely with leadership. One of the challenges is that many of our Crosby Scholars who are at Mineral Springs and East Forsyth, they don't tend to, I guess they're not choosing Carver at the same rate. And so Carver actually is one of the schools that don't bring a lot of Crosby Scholars into 9th grade. So most of the 9th graders who come to Carver, who join Crosby, are new to the program. And what we find is that those students who join Crosby Scholars in 6th grade have a much higher ratio of completing the program, or those who join in middle school have a much higher ratio of completing the program than those who just join us in 9th or 10th grade. When we first started the program, students could join as 12th graders, and then we pushed it back to 11th, and then we pushed it back to 10th grade. But with every time of pushing that back, we've seen a decrease in participation at Carver. And so we feel that if we can really strengthen our feeder students, our students who go to those schools, keep them in Crosby, and those students are coming to Carver, then that will increase our presence there. What we find is some of our schools, when kids get to those high schools, the expectation is Crosby is going to be there because we're in every public middle school and high school in the county, as well as all the charter schools. And so students, what we tell them is, if you go to a public school in Forsyth County, Crosby will be there for you. And so our focus is to make sure that students, when they get to any school in the county in 9th grade, that regardless of anything else, they know they're already in Crosby Scholars, or they can be a Crosby Scholar, and that's something they can continue through high school graduation. And so we don't want them to go into a situation and all of a sudden they feel like that's an odd thing to be a Crosby Scholar. And I don't think that's the case at Carver, but if we continue to see diminishing numbers, that may be the case. What we found, though, is that our Crosby Scholars at Carver feel that it's very important to be Crosby Scholars. And so those who join early and stick with it, they graduate as Crosby Scholars, and last year we awarded over $14,000 in last dollar grant assistance to graduates from Carver. So we're really excited about this opportunity to strengthen that partnership, grow that partnership, and let students know that, you know, as we say, Crosby is going to be at every school you go to, and we want Crosby Nation, Carver Nation, to be a part of Crosby Nation and grow stronger, because again, that's where our roots are. And the Crosby, of course, requires students to do community service, to academy, not be placed on out-of-school suspension, commit to remaining drug-free, all the things that we want all of our students to do. And so the work that we do with the community, with the schools, with the parents, help to strengthen all facets of this particular proposal. And so again, we were just excited to be a part of it.
And so a few years ago, well, before I say that, so all of our partners are very strategic in selection, but they're not new partners. While this project is a new project, we have existing relationships with all of these partners. So we won't be starting over. We won't be starting new. I can call Mona whenever I need to. I can call Jewel, Carol, and I. We have very strong relationships with all of the partners, and we feel like that will be an asset to going forward. A few years ago, I actually happened to be the graduation speaker at Carver, and the principal was Carol Montague Davis. So there were a lot of ties, and Carol would share a little bit about her work with the district and Carver in particular.
Well, right now I'm the assistant superintendent for secondary ed, and I was the principal at Carver for 4 great years before I moved down here. So the partnership, the part that I play within this project is to oversee everything that's in the project, and hoping that we can continue the strong relationships that we have, because one thing that I want the most is to see Carver back on top and doing the things. I hate to hear that numbers are decreasing, and how can we pull those back up, and how we can get the students that are not going from Middle Springs and East into the door.
As well. So when we first started talking about the proposal, I was sitting with Kathy and Marty, and currently, we have a grant through the United Way that's essentially purely academic. It's tutoring, it's mentoring, it's family engagement. And Marty said, well, this is a chance to do something totally different. So, in discussions with all of these people, we started looking at the guiding priorities and the goals and the outcomes. And we landed on 3 of those civic goals and outcomes. And on the second page of your folder, you can see the graduation rates for the district for the last several years. And you all, and I didn't include this in the PowerPoint, but the district is headed towards a 90% graduation rate by 2018. So those students are currently in the 10th grade. And you can see the various graduation rates for the school. So we thought it was really important to land on the civic goal related to increasing the high school graduation rate and by decreasing the achievement gap. The third goal of the district's 3 goals is decreasing the achievement gap. So this first civic goal or priority lands at 2 of the district goals. So there's nothing new for us except greater focus and additional resources. The second goal and outcome is improving the soft skills of individuals. And the programs of Crosby and for SciTech, in addition to the academic focus, Crosby has a litany of other things that help students to advance their soft skills. And if you have questions about that, Mona can tell you about the set academies and the senior academies and all of those. And then the last one that aligns is increasing access to behavioral health screenings and treatment. So that partnership with the School Health Alliance gets us there. So there's several key program strategies. And because you've heard a little bit about each of those, I'm just going to touch on each one. But I'm going to start with the second one, the intensive recruitment and retention. And I didn't include that in there, but I think that Mr. Taylor could speak to a lot of this. So if you will, Carver, if you were to go on the Carver website, you would see an enrollment of a little less than 600 students. If you were looking on any of these charts, what we would tell you is that there are nearly 1,300 students who are residential to Carver. So more than half of the students who are residential to Carver elect to go to another high school. And I won't go that way, but there are 3 high schools in close proximity to Carver. And if you think of the middle schools that are here, Middle Spring Middle, East Forsyth Middle, and the other would be Walkertown, are schools. So there's an East Forsyth High School. There's a Walkertown High School. Atkins High School is very close. Winston-Salem Prep is very close. So just want you to take into consideration that we have a residential area, that's just high school, of nearly 1,300 students, and currently the enrollment is about 600. So we think that's a very fertile ground and one of the strongest places for us to impact Carver. The way we think we do that is not to start at Carver, but to start at the middle schools. And so the academic enhancements and transition would simply build on what's already happening at Middle Springs Middle and East Forsyth Middle, the summer programs. But an additional component would be to bring those students before they get to 8th grade to Carver. So before they create identities with other schools, let them become a part of the nation so that they are identifiable with what Carver is. The academic enhancements and transition. And so, Mr. Taylor, if you would talk a little bit about your starting AP classes and your strategy to increase honors classes, and we'll talk a little bit more about the strategy. So if you would talk a little bit about that.
One of the major concerns that a lot of parents and students that currently don't attend Carver High School is that we don't offer the full slate of academic course offerings to them that would allow them to basically fully expand their possibilities outside of high school. As before this year, we had no AP courses that are currently being offered at Carver High School. They would have to go to the Career Center to offer those. We have already started with one AP course this year with AP Environmental Sciences, and we plan on adding AP US History for next year and continue to offer those AP courses and also honors courses going forward. But more importantly than just offering the courses, it begins to change the cultural mindset of the students that are currently at high school, Carver High School, and then we'll start to come into Carver High School, that we do stress academics, and we stress rigor, we stress the importance of going to college and being college and career ready. So along with some of the things we're doing there, we're also applying for a magnet school grant as well that will start to change the landscape of Carver High School, that once you enter into our building, that is a place that's going to prepare you for life outside of Carver High School, and that we focus very heavily on academics and also education within our school, which is, too many cases, not the perception that the community and the students coming to Carver High School have personally. So that's part of what's turning that around. And also us understand that currently, since a large number of our students are not ready for high school, and they come in with eval scores very low, predicting to score to 1, that we have to have support bases in place for those students. So we need to have a rigorous transition program in place over the summer, and also when they get there as well, offering tutoring throughout the school day, and making sure that we can fill those gaps that many of our students come into place with.
Mr. Taylor mentioned EVAS, so there are 2 kinds of measures that students are. There's proficiency and there's growth. And EVAS is just a growth measure. Carol, did you want to say anything about that piece? Okay. So we'll just keep going with Mr. Taylor about family engagement. This is the current strategy that the United Way brings.
Yes, sir.
Family engagement.
We're looking at some new ways to engage families. Of course, academically is our end goal, but we realize that with the poverty that our kids come from, that they may be coming from families that, depending upon the educational background of themselves, there may be feelings of intimidation in terms of the school community. So trying to figure out how do we get them in there on a different basis to build a relationship so that they feel comfortable, so that they feel that it is a community place for them, not just a school. And of course, we always look at, are they always getting the phone calls home about what the kids are doing wrong? And that can create different kinds of feelings. So looking at different social aspects of bringing them in, creating, and I just throw out some examples. We've even explored if we have second language learner parents, do we try to provide services in the school for them in the evening? Do we just bring families in for a social event to talk and get to know each other? And at that point, building that community relationship, and then I think that would segue into them feeling that it was a community center, not just a school that their child went to and that they got an occasional phone call from. So we're trying to look at it and kind of step outside of the box. We're looking at different ways to communicate with families. But really it's an intensive effort utilizing the churches. And of course we have Grace on board, and they have been the best support ever. But also expanding maybe to other churches within the community to help reach out to the congregations. That's a very good way to get word out. And again, just reaching out and trying to build different community relations that lead into the academic support, but kind of, I guess you'd say, going through the back door to build a relationship first. So those are different things that we are looking at. And that goes along with the community engagement, that we're reaching out to our fellow business partners. We've brought some folks in. We're looking at different community partners. Of course, we've got Big Brother, Big Sister, Grace Presbyterians involved. We have PDQ helps provide a lot of things for our different events. We have a number of different business partners that provide little things for the kids and the teachers that we need, but bringing in bigger business partners to provide incentives for the students, and also to look at that very important piece of perhaps providing internships, and we mentioned that a little bit in the earlier meeting. But I think that's a really big piece, especially as we move into looking at magnet status. That is going to be a big piece to provide that internship possibility for our students and to tie them in and to bring more of the business community into the school also.
Thank you, sir. Reverend Marshall, did you want to add any more to the work that Grace is doing related to community engagement?
We met earlier today, that partnership that we have been working called JRAMS, which is with Winston-Salem State and with Carver High School. We see this as an expansion, as I said earlier, kind of moving down the line. the vision is to embrace the entire family, because they're parents that are connected with the children, with the youth as well. Some of the things we mentioned were some service experiential learning activities that are intergenerational. We'd like to see that our seniors are doing learning activities along with the children, along with the youth, in addition to the basic academics, but developing that relationship. We think things happen. We think innovation happens when people across generations are working. We think identity is formed. We think values are instilled when people are working across generations. Particularly, you have people who've been living in Winston-Salem all their life. You have retired principals. You have retired administrators. You have 2 valedictorians who are graduates of Carver that are members of Grace. So some of that, trying not to take you to church. So some of that pride and some of that identity is transitions and transfused into these younger generations coming up, and that's a large part of the role that we're seeing. We're open to see as patterns emerge in terms of what the children need, what the students need, that we're adaptable. We want to be an adaptable partner to come in and support according to how the needs emerge, and that there are projects that we're doing together as we see these needs emerge in the course of these 3 years of working.
May I add one more thing that's an important piece we talked about, and actually Dr. Cotton brought it up at one of our meetings, and that is when we talk about community and family is, and it also speaks to reaching the kids at middle school, is we're looking at, as part of our re-imaging and rebranding of the school, reaching out to the middle schools and coming in and marketing Carver to the families and the students before they're making their decisions, getting in there and talking to them about the school itself, about the JRAMS program, getting them involved in JRAMS maybe even before they get up there, so that we're building that relationship and helping them to make those decisions about coming to Carver and choosing Carver.
One of the pieces we've done, this is our 3rd semester, in terms of building that relationship with the younger students through a partnership with Winston-Salem State, where the student volunteers come and worship with us on Sunday. We do a fellowship brunch after worship, and together we go out to Ladera Crest to provide a healthy meal for the families there. Phase 1 for us, which was to establish a relationship. It's a charity-based model. We understand that, but we understand that before we do anything further than that, we have to establish a relationship. So we see this as deepening that relationship and moving it down the line.
Another huge component of the strategies is college access. So there's a piece in the grant that Carver currently has related to a college advisor. There's a psych tech piece, and there's a Crosby piece, and we'll let them talk about that work. Before you start, so I would say, obviously, as we're working on a graduation rate, we're trying to increase the college going rate, and how that impacts the community. We know that those indicators will be positively affected.
Well, and one piece for us is that many years running, we've had 100% high school graduation rate. So if our students are senior Crosby Scholars, they're graduating from high school. And about 98% of our students who graduate as Crosby Scholars immediately are enrolled in a 2-year or 4-year program. So that statistic is no different at Carver than it is at any other school. So we feel very confident that if we can get students in and they stay in Crosby Scholars, then we can get them graduated from high school. The students who join Crosby Scholars in 10th grade and participate in at least one activity, 96% of them graduate from high school. So even if they don't fully finish the program, they've been exposed and participated in some of the activities up to the 10th grade level. They graduate from high school as well. The other